Hey everyone, how's it going? Aaron Rift here from NoDQ.com. I am being joined today for NXT predictions by good old JM Jeff Meacham. How you doing today, Jeff?
Doing good, Riff. You're looking good in your Cole Cabana shirt, man. Looking snazzy there.
Oh, thank you for that. Got it from the ProWrestlingTees.com people. They sent me the Wrestle Crate from Pro Wrestling Tees. Make sure you check it out at ProWrestlingCrate.com. Cheap plug for them. Use
Yes.
NoDQ as the coupon code to get 20% off your first order. So now that I got that cheap plug out of the way, let's talk about NXT. We have WWE Survivor Series and NXT this weekend. Another big weekend in the world of WWE. NXT is on Saturday night. Now, Jeff, I want to ask you, since you've been following NXT very closely,
Yes.
which show are you looking forward to more at this point, Survivor Series or Takeover?
Well, usually I've been saying NXT Takeover, but I am interested very much in the elimination matches that Survivor Series has to offer up. However, um, the stories going into Takeover Toronto seem more tangible than the WWE Survivor Series stories. Because, yeah, remember, Survivor Series traditionally, it's not really so much a storyline as it is just a hodgepodge of different things being thrown together.
Right, it's just the theme of Raw versus SmackDown, and then
Right.
the battle of Goldberg versus Brock Lesnar too to see who the dominant one is and all that stuff. So yeah, I mean, Survivor Series is basically just thrown together with a basic concept behind it. And
Right.
with NXT, I mean, it definitely has the backing of the diehard fans that
Yes.
expect some quality wrestling on Saturday night, and it is going to be in Toronto, so it's going to be a really interesting crowd. We know how Toronto fans are. I mean, they're going to be unbelievable for this show. And I think the crowd atmosphere will help make this a really memorable takeover special.
Well, you got to remember something. Traditionally, when they go into Canada, the WWE fans are very raucous, but this is a NXT crowd, and we Kings fans always like to say we are all Kings. But Triple H said a long time ago that we are NXT. The fans that follow NXT, die hard, true and true. You've been to a live show, you've seen how the crowd is live in person. I've been to one now and seen how a live crowd is in person. And yeah, it was a smaller crowd, then for both of us, it was a smaller crowd than they have at Full Sail, but it was still just the atmosphere was just unbelievable. I put those two videos up on Twitter of Nakamura and Bobby Roode coming out, and the entire crowd either humming or singing along to their songs. That it's something that's going to be worth seeing just for the crowd reactions alone
Yeah.
Saturday night.
Now, I have to ask you, you were at that NXT show a few weeks back in Los Angeles.
Yes.
So you saw the matches on that card. Do you think that that is a sign of things to come with future storylines in NXT?
Um. Well, I was at the show in Bakersfield actually. I missed the LA show unfortunately. I
Oh,
couldn't
that
go to the
was
show.
Ryan. That was Ryan that went to the
Ryan
LA
went to
one.
the LA show. Actually, everybody I know that's a wrestling fan in LA except me went to the LA show.
Right.
Um, yeah, I could not sit there and afford that much money for standing room only tickets. I couldn't stand for 3 hours. That was just going to be too ridiculous. Um, they had the main event was Nakamura versus Bobby Roode
Right. So that
for the
could be a
title.
sign.
So that I would love to see that clash of styles for the NXT Championship, like I saw at Bakersfield. That'd be awesome to see. It's funny you bring that up, the matches going forward, because a match that's not on this card necessarily that I think they're going to add last minute, or they're going to add during Saturday night's broadcast. For the last few weeks at NXT, they've had Billie Kay and Peyton Royce, the two bad girls, if you will, on NXT, kind of picking on Liv Morgan. And Liv Morgan has kind of sort of recruited Ember Moon to be her backup. So I think they're going to add that tag team match to Takeover Toronto. So we'll see. And if that happens, I can't see Ember Moon losing this soon. So I think they're going to have Ember and Liv defeat the bad girls.
And I would agree with you on that prediction. So they may add that. I mean, the thing is, the NXT shows have not really gone over the 2 hour time slot. Now, things could always change. WWE
Right.
owns the network. They could go longer if they want to, but traditionally the NXT shows have gone right about 2 hours and haven't
Yes.
really gone longer than that. So they may or may not add that match. We'll just have to wait and see. You know, it could go either way. Now, oh, go ahead. You were going to say
Well,
something?
I've noticed even with the 2 hour time slot that they've still had to add either one or two more depending on how long the scheduled 5 goes.
Right.
So we'll see.
Yeah, and usually, they're trying to figure out the timing and everything, and it sometimes comes down to the last minute when they say, hey, we have a little bit of extra time. We need to put in one more match or two, and that's
Right.
when they add the match. So we'll see how that goes. Let's talk about the 5 matches and give our predictions. First up, we have a 2 out of 3 falls tag team match for the NXT Tag Team Championship. The Revival versus Johnny Gargano and Tommaso Ciampa. This should be a hell of a match. I mean, this is going to be a really quality tag team wrestling match between these two teams. So, Jeff, you want to go ahead and give your prediction on this?
I do indeed. This is the match that I've been looking forward to for some time. I know you got to see the Revival live in Portland. They faced American Alpha up there. They didn't have either of these teams on the California trip.
That's interesting.
So I mean, the Southern California was because they were in NorCal taping the Dusty Classic,
Right.
but they didn't bring them into LA or to Bakersfield, as far as I know. They were at Bakersfield for sure.
Yeah.
Maybe they pulled off the areas and we weren't good enough to get them. Maybe I don't know. But this match, it's been building and building and building. They've gone back and forth with victories, and the Revival cost DIY the Dusty Classic, so Regal decided to put them in a 2 out of 3 falls match for the championship. I think this is going to be the opportunity that Gargano and Ciampa were looking for. I think that the most likely scenario is we're going to see new tag team champions in NXT because the Revival's been champions, except for a brief snippet of time that they weren't. They've been the most dominant 2-time tag team champions in NXT history.
Right.
I think it's going to be a colossal match. I think it's going to be something that you're going to want to tweet your friends about when you're watching. Like, oh my God, you're not watching this. What is your problem? Mm-hmm. Get on your network right now. Use the $9.99 and make it happen, or use the free month. Hell, for some reason, as I was talking about that, I just crept in the back of right about here in the back of my mind that I've been hearing different things from different people, and that they're looking to turn Tommaso Ciampa back to being a bad guy like he was on the indie circuit. So that's a minute possibility, but he might turn on Johnny.
Yeah,
and lead to a feud. But my prediction is new tag team champions.
Well, here's what I think, because first of all, since it's 2 out of 3 falls, I expect the heels, the Revival, to win the first fall to get the heat,
right?
And then Gargano and Ciampa will win the second fall, and then I do think we will see new tag team champions, because I'm thinking ahead towards the future, and New Day is close to breaking the tag team record, and everyone's asking who will beat New Day for the titles. I don't think it's going to be Anderson and Gallows, and I don't think it's going to be Sheamus and Cesaro. So what better way to establish the Revival on the main roster than by having them be the guys to end New Day's tag team title reign? So I
like that.
That's what I think. So if Revival doesn't lose at this pay-per-view, I could see them maybe losing at the Royal Rumble whenever they do the takeover for that weekend, and then they go on to beat New Day. But I think it's coming soon. I think if I had to make a prediction, I would say the Revival loses the titles either at this show or the next one, and then beats New Day when they debut on the main roster.
Makes sense to me.
So, I mean, like you said, there could be some sort of turn or whatever, but I'm going to go ahead and predict new tag team champions, and Revival will get their rematch at Royal Rumble weekend and lose then, and then go onto the main roster and beat New Day.
Well, do you think they're going to have New Day go that far past the 478?
They might.
Okay.
It would be weird if they just lose it the next day, after they break the record. They did that with Nikki Bella. It would be really silly if they did it with New Day, I think.
Yeah, it would be kind of ridiculous at this point.
So, let them have the titles a little bit longer, and then have Revival come in and beat them and establish them as a real threat right off the get-go.
There you go.
All right. So, next up we have another tag team match. This is the final of the Dusty Rhodes Tag Team Classic. The Authors of Pain, managed by Paul Ellering, versus TM61, Nick Miller, and Shane Thorne. Now, the stipulation is that Paul Ellering will be suspended above the ring inside a cage. So this is a little bit of a throwback to the 80s and 90s, with Jim Cornette being up in the cage and Jerry Lawler at one point.
I was going to say, how often was Paul Ellering at ringside when Cornette was up in the cage? That's what's funny to me.
Yeah.
Ellering had to keep looking. Oh, there's Corny up there, and now he's going to be in the cage himself at his age. That's crazy.
Will he get a nosebleed?
He might like Jerry Lawler. He just might. That'd be funny.
So we know how these things go. I mean, it seems like historically the heel manager somehow finds a way to interfere. Like I think Chyna was in the cage one time and she threw down a chain to help Triple H beat Owen Hart. So the heels find a way.
Well, actually, Chyna threw down the chain and then the referee found it, so that she actually opened the bars with her bare hands and got out and like hung on the cage, and it was ridiculous.
Yeah. So what do you think about this match? Now I have to ask you because I'm sure you've been following it. What did you think of this Dusty Rhodes Classic, this tournament?
I thought it was better than last year, but it was still very, very good this time. I didn't get to see a whole lot of it live because I was crazy busy on Wednesday nights, but I get to see it on demand. It played out very, very well. Like I said, last year's I think was a little bit better, but when you have something that's dedicated to Dusty Rhodes, the first outing is going to be better. That's just the way it's going to be. It's going to be better the first time around. But this one was very well done. I am intrigued that they're having almost leading to a Dusty finish with Paul being in the cage. It would be something out of nostalgia riding somewhere to have Road Warrior Animal come in and interfere somehow and help the Opposite Pain win the titles, but I win the Classic. But that'd be too easy to write. I honestly think that Ellering will find a way to get out, but it'll be too little, too late, and that TM61 will win the Dusty Classic because Dusty always managed to find a way to get the babyface over in the end. And I think that Dusty's Tag Team Classic will be written as such, where the babyface will triumph in the end.
Interesting. I mean, the reason I think that we might see the Authors of Pain win is because if you're going to have the babyfaces win the tag team titles, then you need a heel tag team to build up and challenge them at some point. So if we're going with Ciampa's team to win, then I think that maybe it would make more sense for the Authors of Pain to win as a heel tag team to go against them.
Well, TM61, when they're used properly, can be very sneaky heels. They were good heels on the
right. You could always turn them
over Japan, so they could always turn them. I don't think if they're going to keep Ciampa face, they're not going to turn Johnny and Tommaso for a while. So I think that if I still say TM61 will win the Dusty Classic, and then they'll probably start out doing like a respectful feud, like the teams respect each other, and then slowly but surely, maybe if TM61 keep losing, they'll get frustrated, kind of like the Usos did,
right?
Where they kept losing and said, you know what, screw this, start hitting people left and right.
I like that. I like that idea. That very well could happen, but I'll go ahead and pick Authors of Pain, so we'll disagree on this one.
Okay.
Oh, so that's the thing too. Like David Payne comes on here sometimes, and everyone says he agrees with everything I say. So it's good that you and I have different opinions here.
Well, you and I used to agree all the time too. You and I used to agree on everything, and it would piss people off. The people are just never happy with you, I think is what it is. Your videos, no matter what, they piss people off. My videos piss people off. It's just a matter of nobody's ever happy with everything. You can't please everybody all the time.
Yeah, but I mean, you and I butt heads a lot, so.
Well, we do.
Yeah, so it makes for a good dynamic.
We are very different wrestling fans, you and I.
I'm a sports entertainment fan. You're a pro wrestling fan.
Exactly, which is why I like NXT more than WWE.
Right, even though it's the same thing.
Well, yeah, but it's not.
And you're falling for Triple H's master plan to manipulate the smart fans.
I am. Dude, I'd wear the NXT shirt, but it's in the laundry. That's why I'm not wearing it. That's why I'm wearing the damn tap out shirt. It's in the laundry.
Your money, my money, it's all the same thing to Triple H.
Oh, definitely.
As long as he's getting it.
But yet you're wearing a Cabana shirt, which is just, I'm sure, making WWE very happy.
Yeah, well, if WWE wants to send me free, what is it? Does WWE have their own version now of the...
They have a loot crate, I think. Yeah, I think they do.
So if they want to send me one for free, then I'll shill it. I'll wear the merchandise on the videos,
Send it to me. We'll wear opposite shirts every show.
Yeah,
hell with it.
It's very simple. All right, so let's move on here. Next up, we have a singles match. the glorious one himself, Bobby Roode versus Ty Dillinger. So
My
yeah,
hands are too big.
yeah, and also we're split screen, so I'm not sure what people are seeing exactly. But anyways, as you mentioned earlier, it was Nakamura versus Bobby Roode as the main event of the NXT house show, which I would think is an indication of where WWE is going past this NXT show.
Yes,
Ty Dillinger does seem to have a cult following. A lot of people do
he
like him.
does.
But at the end of the day, I think Roode is going to be the guy they're going to build up as Nakamura's next challenger or the next challenger for the NXT World title. We'll get to that match in a few minutes. So I'm thinking Bobby Roode wins this one. I mean, what do you think?
Up until Roode and Nakamura came out for the NXT live show in Bakersfield, Ty had the most crowd reaction. Everybody was chanting 10, 10, 10. And every time he did anything and stopped and did the thing with his hand, they would go 10. The crowd just ate his stuff up completely. So he does have a following. I'm sure the Canadian fans will be going nutso cuckoo over him because he's an awesome guy. However, they're in Toronto, which is Bobby Roode comes
Oh, snap.
Bobby is from Toronto, and anytime TNA ever went into Canada, or anytime Team Canada ever came out in Canada, it was always, nuts for Bobby
Yeah,
Roode
I mean,
and for Eric Young and for whoever. So I'll be interested to see if Sanity makes an appearance and Eric Young's out there, because he's from Toronto too.
ooh, a little
So I'll be interested to
throwback,
see
little throwback to TNA.
Exactly. So if Bobby goes into his hometown with all this push, with all this buzz, and loses, it'll be very surprising to me.
Yeah,
I think we're going to see a glorious performance from the It Factor himself.
I agree on that. And this is why I need you on the videos, because I'm an idiot and I totally did not put two and two together that Bobby Roode is wrestling in his hometown in Toronto.
Yes.
So yeah, it's gonna be off the chain, to use an old Bobby Roode phrase.
Off the chain. Well, actually, Mel B uses that on America's Got Talent now, so it's okay. It's not old anymore.
Yeah, so it's gonna.
What's old is new again.
Yeah, that entrance is gonna be something else.
It'll be glorious for
Yeah,
sure.
that's the only way to describe it.
That's it. It's so funny. I did that thing with you in the car, and people were either laughing about it or Jeff, you're a dork. But when he came out there in Bakersfield, there was not one person sitting down and not one person that wasn't singing the damn song along with everybody else.
Yeah.
So, guy's over.
Yeah, definitely. All right. Next up, we have the singles match for the NXT Women's Championship. We have Asuka defending against the return to WWE of Mickie James. And apparently, she was, in fact, WWE's first choice for this match, despite reports that WWE wanted Trish Stratus for this role. And then Trish ended up getting pregnant. Triple H said, no, we actually did want Mickie as the first contender against Asuka. So whether you believe that or not, everyone's going to have an opinion on it. But regardless, it's nice to have Mickie James back. And
yes,
I do feel it's a sign that the women's division is a little weak in NXT, that they need to bring in an outsider for this. What are your thoughts on Mickie James coming in? And do you think it's a sign that WWE doesn't have a really strong contender for Asuka at this point?
I'm not sure if the division itself is so weak necessarily. I think they kind of painted themselves into a corner with the way they booked the girls, because once Asuka became champion, they booked her to defeat anybody in her path. She beat Nia, she beat Bayley, she beat everybody that's been put in front of her. So there was nobody left on the roster that could contain her and possibly defeat her. That's not Asuka's fault. That's not the other girl's fault. That's, as much as I hate to, dig on Triple H for his baby, that's Triple H's bad, and that's the booking committee's bad, because they drew themselves into that little corner where now they can't get out of it without having a star attraction pulling off a nostalgia field. Now, granted, Mickie James is in the shape of her life. She just had a baby not too long ago, but she came back. She is in phenomenal shape. She's no longer Piggy James, okay? She looks freaking fantastic. So I think that she's going to give Asuka a serious run for her money in Toronto. But again, they're not going to have the nostalgic feel come in too hard and have a new champion, because they need to have Asuka be the girl. They need Asuka be the lady, the person
Right.
to anchor the division. I think that they're going to probably build Ember Moon toward the championship
Right.
and get her the title. So I think maybe around Royal Rumble, maybe a little bit sooner, depending on when the next takeover is. But I think for this, it's going to be easily Asuka's most competitive match. But it'll still be an Asuka victory.
I totally agree with that. And I was going to ask you about who you think will be the next contender, so you brought that up. So we pretty much covered that. Should be a very entertaining match to see Mickie James back. A little bit of nostalgia, but in the end, I think Asuka will pick up the win, and we'll see where things go after that. Now, we have the main event for the NXT World Championship. Shinsuke Nakamura defending against the former champion Samoa Joe. And I think this has to be it for one of these two. I think one of them is going to be the next main person to show up on Raw or SmackDown, maybe even as soon as Survivor Series. So I'll go ahead and get your prediction on this match. Who do you think is leaving Toronto with the world title?
This is one of those matches where I've been thinking about it since we decided to tape, which has only been a little while. But I don't know how to call this one. I literally was going to grab a coin and just toss it right here on the camera, but because both these guys are ready for Raw or SmackDown,
absolutely,
and both of these guys are ready to be the guy that carries NXT into the next chapter. They're both ready for both those spots. So I honestly, this is so hard because I like both these guys. You know our history with Samoa Joe, our history with Samoa Joe from way back. I'd like to see him do both. I'd like to see him become the two-time NXT champion, the first ever, and have him be the guy that carries NXT into the next year or so. But I also like to see Joe go up on the main roster at Survivor Series or even Royal Rumble as a surprise entrance. So here's what I say is going to happen. I say we're going to see Joe and Nakamura go to a... See... Sorry for the swearing. Sorry about that.
Yeah, great. You're going to get me suspended or get me in trouble with the advertisers.
It's this damn... this match... I'm just gonna say right off the top of my head, I'm gonna go with Nakamura to retain.
Well, that's what I think. I think because of the fact that Joe has been there longer, they usually call up people in order. They don't have somebody leapfrog ahead of somebody else. Joe's been there longer, and I sense that Nakamura is not a guy that they want to really invest in yet on the main roster, just because of the whole country barrier, and you know how Vince is about things. I think it's going to take a little bit more convincing from Vince to really go full speed ahead on Nakamura. I think Vince is probably fine with Nakamura just being the guy to carry NXT right now and then wait till there's a better opportunity. With Joe, I think the time is right now. I think you got to get Joe on the main roster, and I'd love to see him at Survivor Series in some fashion, make a huge impact. At WWE's, they posted a video of the top 10 Survivor Series debuts, which makes me think, are we going to see a big debut at Survivor Series? And Joe would be that guy, I think, if you were going to have the big surprise. So I think it's time to get Joe on the main roster. Nakamura wins, and then we see Nakamura versus Bobby Roode as the next program for the NXT title. And then eventually, Bobby Roode beats Nakamura, and Nakamura debuts on the main roster.
Sorry about that.
No problem. I think your phone disagrees with me, but that's my prediction.
No. I had an alarm set for something else. Sorry about that. Yeah, I would have to say that Bobby Roode's going to be the guy that's going to really take... He said when he came in, he was going to take NXT to the next level.
Right.
And I think he's going to be the guy to do that.
Yeah, so I'm definitely going with Nakamura to retain here.
I agree.
All right. So that'll wrap it up for our thoughts on the NXT Takeover Toronto. We will be back, myself, good old JM Jeff Meacham, and maybe David Payne. Hopefully he's not too upset with Donald Trump still, and he'll actually be able to come. I heard he's just sitting at home right now. He's just so frustrated about the election, and it is what it is.
What's so funny about that is I watched it unfold Tuesday night. I haven't talked really since the election. I watched it unfold Tuesday night, and I got sad because I had to wake the boy here, the next bunk up, and go, where we were going didn't work out, and we'll see what happens. But you know what? Like you try to tell me more than once over social media, my situation is not going to change.
Yeah.
So I'm not tripping too bad like I was Tuesday night. I think I'll be okay.
And he's already softening on a lot of positions. But anyways, we're getting into politics now, even though he's technically a WWE Hall of Famer. Can you believe that?
He is a Hall of Famer. And you know what? If he adds Linda to the cabinet, the wrestling fans are going to have a complete field day on that.
Yeah, it's just going to become even more of a circus if that happens.
It really is.
But technically we need to talk about it because it is wrestling related.
That's right, it is.
Linda McMahon could end up in Donald Trump's cabinet. Did you ever think
have a McMahon working in the White House?
Did you ever think that was possible?
No, I didn't. I part of me always wished it could happen. I probably wished Vince would just run for president and be done with it. But he will take the pay cut. Yeah,
he's got to one up Jesse Ventura though, so it would be more like an ego thing for Vince, I think.
Oh, totally, totally would.
Yeah. So yeah, we'll see what happens with Donald Trump and what happens with Linda McMahon, and of course, NoDQ.com will keep you updated on all that. And you can follow Jeff Meacham on Twitter at _Jeff Meacham.
Yes.
And what's going on with Talk Wrestling and After the Bell?
Well, I have an announcement to make to the public en masse. I actually have a full-time job starting the next couple days with the dreaded corporation that sells things for helps you live better, and I'll be working for them overnight, 10 to 7, doing stock work. So if I happen to get home and Dylan's at school and I get up and get you on the phone, we'll tape Talk Wrestling again.
All right, so we'll see what happens. Hopefully we'll have more Jeff on, at least for the pay-per-views, at the very least.
I will be, put it this way, Survivor Series wrap-up is going to be in that room right there.
Yeah, so you and me will be back together in person, reunited for our Survivor Series post-show. So you guys have that to look forward to, and you will be part of the year-end awards discussion as we do every year.
Yes, sir. I'll be there. And I need to encourage everybody until December 1st to vote. Don't be like the 46% of this country. Vote for the No DQ Hall of Fame.
Yeah.
Exercise your right to vote, you damn people.
Your vote counts, and you can vote every day for the rest of the month.
Seriously, it's not like you go once and that's it. That's your choice. You go every single day for all 5 categories.
Yeah, and when we do the No DQ Hall of Fame, the No DQ Year-End Awards, same thing applies. You'll be able to vote once a day for every category. So
think about it. You get a whole month of voting for the first ever No DQ Hall of Fame.
Yeah, this is historic. I mean, this is the very first class.
We even dressed up for that. I mean, come on, folks.
Yeah, I mean, I never dress up.
You don't. You never see Aaron in a suit and tie except for the Hall of Fame.
I'm wearing a Colt Cabana shirt right now. That's right. I usually wear just whatever random shirt I can find off the streets, you know?
That's right. But see, you had a whole month to vote for the WQ Hall of Fame. Then you get a whole other month to vote for the year-end awards. That's a whole lot of voting you get to do for free.
Yeah, so for all you out there watching, you have to do a couple things. First thing, you need to be really cool and share this video on Facebook and Twitter.
Yes.
Please spread the word. I'm asking nicely, please. Pretty please with sugar on top. And make sure you vote. Vote once a day. Keep the votes coming in. And let's make this a historic No DQ Hall of Fame.
Let's make wrestling great again.
Yeah, best we can.
Best we can.
Power of the people. Power of the people. People power.
People power, is that what you're saying?
Yeah, people power.
Oh my God.
Now, see, he should be in Donald Trump's cabinet.
Well, the thing is, nobody can hear him. He's so soft-spoken.
Well, he'll have to...
He's got a raspy voice.
Yeah, well, it stands out. It's unique.
It definitely does that.
People remember the guy.
Forever.
Yeah, so that's what the White House needs. It needs a little bit of people power.
More people power, that's right.
All right, so we'll go ahead and wrap this thing up. Thank you guys so much for watching. We will see you next time for Survivor Series predictions.